All right. So, welcome everybody. We are here. We made it. We have, I don't know, a dozen of cameras in front of us, but we made it. And we are here today to talk today about relationships. And actually, what I'm telling all the time is that it was nice that we have all at school the math lesson, the math classes, the physics, the geometry, and all these things. But why not have a relationship class? Now we are here learning about relationships via webinars and lives and workshops. But it would have been amazing if we could have learned that when we were teenagers and when it was the right timing for us to learn about relationships, and not now. But better late than never. Thank you very much for being here today. We are going to talk about why relationships are complicated, why we keep pushing our partner away even though we want the opposite. We're going to talk about attachment theory. We're going to talk about emotional perfectionism. We're going to talk about connection, because in the end of this discussion, we want to bring something really practical at the table, which is how can we bring more connection in our relationship? Some practicalities before we start. You can add your comments in the chat box or in the comments area. It depends on whether you are watching us from YouTube or Facebook or Zoom or LinkedIn or live Instagram. But you can put your questions there, because we are going to go through the questions and we're going to save time in the end so that we can answer these questions. But it doesn't mean that all questions will be in the end. In between, we're going to have some breaks and we're going to see what were the questions so far, so that we can see whether we can incorporate them and we can answer the questions even earlier. What else? I have the honor also to have with me my colleagues, not only Lilian that you see here, but also my colleagues, Maria, Olga, Carolina, and they are here and they're supporting us. So they're going to be in Zoom, and they are going to be probably answering some questions or making sure that some questions are transferred to us and we can reply to them. And of course, we want everybody to respect each other. In case somebody wants to ask over a question, we don't want any negative comments. So that let's make sure that we have a positive atmosphere today. And also what's important is that we are not going to do therapy. We don't have time to do that. So please, your questions, make them so that they're not so personal, so that they're not too lengthy. We're not going to hear stories, I said, he said, she did, but more about what is the question that you want to have, what is the important thing that you want to learn, and get your answer about that. So what else? We're going to share also links with you, because we're going to talk about different subjects today. So whatever we think that is relevant, we're going to put a link on the comments so you can continue reading about that. But also after the discussion today, we are going to send information, more resources about relationships. So if you haven't registered via Zoom and we don't have your email, please send it via the chat box or send it via private message. We're going to send you for sure more information. Now, for those that don't know me, my name is Vassia Sarantopoulou and I'm a psychologist, and I have been trained in schema therapy, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and emotionally focused therapy, which is the same training that Lilian has done. And that's why we're here today to talk about relationships. And emotionally focused therapy is about couples counseling. And I am the founder of Anti-Loneliness, which is a company offering support and mental health services to people that they are struggling and they're going through hard times. So, my friend, my colleague Lilian, thank you so much for being here. Would you like to say a few things about you?
Yeah, my name is Lilian, and I have my private practice called Culture Counsel, and I collaborate with Anti-Loneliness. I work mainly with couples, but also with families and individuals. And my expertise is relationships. So therefore, it's so nice to do this evening, because we would like to share some of our knowledge with you, and maybe it will help you to make your relationship less complicated, if that's the case.
Yes, 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 yes. And that's so important, because relationships are so complicated. Even one person is complicated. We have multiple layers in our personalities. Imagine when you have two people that they want to make the best out of their relationship. Imagine how many times more complicated this becomes. So I would like to discuss with you first what he said about connection. What is connection? I found a very interesting, and it resonated with me, a definition about connection. And it was by Brené Brown, and it says, connection is the energy that exists between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued, when they can give and receive without judgment, and when they derive sustenance and strength from their relationship. That was such a complete definition for me, because it's exactly what we want to achieve in relationships: to be heard, to be validated. And that's when we feel more connected. And the emotional connection is one of our core emotional needs. We need to feel connected. Otherwise, there's no other reason why we are in a relationship.
No, and people, or humans, are wired to connect with each other, because this connection will give you a feeling of safety and security, which makes you feel more stronger, not only within your relationship, but also as an individual itself. So it's very important to have this emotional connection.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And looking back at the previous generations, that has changed a lot, and that actually makes connection even more important nowadays. Because back then they have a different kind of relationship. Were kind of dependent on each other because they had different roles. One was producing kids, let's say, and making sure that they are brought up. And the other one was bringing money, was responsible for having a job. Very clear roles. But nowadays, every person can do everything. You can be a single mother or a single father, and still you can have kids. You can make kids. And when I say make kids, I mean they're adoptions, there are IVFs, there are so many methods that you can have a child. So nowadays you don't need to have somebody else in order to have children. You can have your own job. You're not depending on somebody else. So all these practicalities are now covered, and we don't need, and I'm talking about need and not want, you don't need somebody else in order to have them. You can have a job, you can have a child, you can have money, you can have whatever you want. But the only reason that we are together is because of this emotional connection. That is something that we cannot achieve it by ourselves. That makes the emotional connection so important nowadays, because that's what's so important to find in another person.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because it makes you feel more confident with your partner, but also as an individual.
Yeah, because this emotional connection has elements that you cannot find somewhere else. You cannot get validation by yourself. Yes, you can, but you
only
still
to a certain extent.
Yes, you still want validation by somebody else, and especially the person you admire, you trust, you love. You cannot get understanding by yourself, and especially when you're confused, when you're sad, you want somebody else to understand you. You want somebody to comfort you. So all of these emotional skills, we need somebody else. And that's why we're talking today, because that is the core fundamental needs that we need to meet in relationships.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah. What are the elements of connection for you? What makes a connection according to your opinion?
I think it's very important to when you have the connection, that you feel validated, secure. It's good to know that you can rely on someone, that you know that the other person, no matter what, has your back, but also, to have a relationship where there's no judgment, that you can be your true self without feeling ashamed, but also a feeling of being able to be vulnerable to the other. Show your true self and show what's really going on inside of you without it having to think that you're taking a risk that the other one will burn you down or will hurt you or wants to be blameful or in any way.
Yeah, that's so important, and that's usually what you and me and all the other couples counselors we see in the therapy room. The fact that we don't dare to show vulnerability. We are in a self-protective mode.
Right.
And that for me is what defines the disconnection. The opposite, not the connection, but the disconnection, that we are in a self-protective mode. And
it doesn't, you can't connect because you are shut off in order to connect. So it's very important to put your guard down and actually try to make the connection.
Yeah. And how can you validate if you are in this self-protective mode? How can you empathize? You can have your partner cry next to you, but because this self-protective mode is on, you cannot empathize. You cannot feel that, okay, I need to protect that person or I need to give a hug to that person. No, because I need to keep my guard on.
Right. Yeah, and that makes it very hard to connect when you put your guard up. And even when I see couples in therapy, when the guard is up, you have to create this safe space where you feel comfortable to share. Because if you don't feel that, it's very difficult to find a connection. Because it is like taking a risk to reach out to the other one.
Yeah, it is. I like what you're saying. It's like taking a risk. It's like taking a deep breath and saying like, I'm going to do it. I'm going out.
Yeah. And you don't know what to expect sometimes.
No,
right? Because when you feel like, when the situation is escalating and you do reach out, you don't know what to expect. So that makes it even more fearful, more scary to open up and to put your guard down.
Absolutely. Because you think that, okay, maybe I'm going to take a step and, be vulnerable, say how I'm feeling or say what I need. And the chances are 50-50. Maybe I'm going to be heard, or maybe the response will be, oh, now you're soft there. Oh, now you care. Oh, that hurts.
That hurts a lot.
Yeah.
And the step to do it again makes it even more difficult. If you have experience already from it's so hurtful as well, or it can be very hurtful.
Yeah. So we prefer this self-protective mode because we are not very ready, or we're not sure whether our vulnerabilities or our feelings are going to be heard. So we prefer to keep them secret, to keep them inside us. We don't trust anymore. This is also one of the elements of disconnection.
Yeah.
We are like, shall I say that now I'm struggling, or just leave it. Yeah.
And if you decide not to seek for the connection, you deprive yourself as well from something. You deprive yourself of feeling the joy or the happiness what you get when you do have the connection.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the biggest cost, I think. Not only that the relationship suffers, but also we individually suffer.
Yeah.
We're just stuck in our loneliness, and we had one person possible to hear us and validate us, but then this is also gone.
Yeah.
So it's really painful for us as well.
It's very painful. It's very painful.
So let's go a little bit deeper, shall we?
Yeah, of course.
Good.
Because quite often what you see is the behavior, and I think there's a lot behind the behavior as well. So.
Yeah. Of course. As we said, relationships are complicated. So what you see here is what Bowlby explained a couple of years ago about relationships. And let me see. People at Zoom cannot see it, but that's something that I'm going to send you later, but I'm going to explain as well. Bowlby said that relationships are based on two axes. anxiety and avoidance, which means that these are our coping mechanisms. When we feel threatened, we either go to one way or another. What you have heard also already as fight, flight, or freeze mode, which is very similar. So what he explained is that there are different styles of attaching, of relating to another human being. And Bowlby started exploring relationships even from the early years of our lives. So he started exploring the relationship between mother and children. And he figured out that there are 4 attachment styles, 4 ways that these people relate to each other. And he also figured out that the attachment style that we create in our childhood with our main caregiver, either it's a mother or the father or whatever was the main caregiver in our childhood, that attachment style is our main attachment style also in our adulthood. So as I said, anxiety and avoidance, let's see this axis creating a cross. So if you have low avoidance but high anxiety, then you have what we call as the preoccupied style, which means that there's a lot of stress. The idea we have about ourselves when we have the preoccupied style is that people are okay, but we are not. There's a low self-confidence there. And therefore, we're really stressed. We're really insecure that people will leave us. And therefore, we try to pursue them. We try to claim our space. We like to claim statements of how these people are feeling. We're very criticizing. We're very angry when we don't get our needs met. So it's a very stressed mindset. And we're always thinking that maybe my partner will leave me. Maybe they don't want me anymore. On the other side, when we have the other attachment style, which is the avoidant attachment style, is when we have a lot of avoidance but low anxiety. That's the attachment style that says that I'm fine. Yeah, we don't need to talk about our feelings. We are avoiding actually our feelings. We do have feelings. It's not that we're robots, but we are avoiding our feelings. And we prefer not to talk about them. And we prefer to not go really deep. What happens is that these 2 styles, the preoccupied and the avoidant, they tend to attract each other a lot. Why? Because the preoccupied is, as I said before, overly expressive, overly demanding and claiming. And when the avoidant sees that, they see somebody who doesn't feel scared to say their feelings. And they're like, okay, maybe I can learn something from this person because they're sharing. Vice versa now, the preoccupied, when they see the avoidant, they see somebody who's calm and confident. And they're like, okay, wow, look how self-controlled this person is. Maybe I can learn something from them. So these 2 styles, they attract each other in the beginning. But then, as you can imagine, if they don't know that they are relating with each other in a different style, then there's high chance that they will misunderstand each other. And they will have the same fight over and over again about why you are not showing me your feelings, the preoccupied to the avoidant, and why you're showing too much of your feelings and why you're pushing me, the avoidant to the preoccupied. So these are some of the common discussions. So as you can imagine, there's a 3rd style, which is high anxiety, high avoidance, which is called the fearful avoidant style. And you can imagine what happens there. The moment that somebody comes closer to the person with the fearful avoidant style, they feel really threatened. Oh, no, I want my space. This is too much. The moment that you give them space, then they feel that you are leaving them. So they're going back again, pursuing you. As a result, this is a very unpredictable behavior by the fearful avoidant. This is where you feel like, I don't know you. I don't know what's going to happen today. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know which side of the bed you're going to wake up. I don't know what's going to happen. You're full of surprises. And sometimes I cannot catch up with your emotional changes. So it's a very unstable pattern, emotional pattern. Now, if we have low anxiety and low avoidance, this is the one healthy attachment style that we have, which is called the secure attachment style. And in the secure attachment style, it doesn't mean that the couples don't fight or they are in a zen, happy situation. Of course they do fight. But the fear that all the other styles feel is not so strong, is not so high in the secure attachment style. They don't feel threatened just because their partner goes away for for a weekend. They don't feel that the whole relationship is falling apart because they forgot their birthday. Or they don't need to hide their feelings because they feel that they're going to be hurt if they share their feelings. That's what we mean with secure styles. So, taking these 4 styles, Lilian, secure, preoccupied, avoidant, fearful, how do we see them in a practical way in the relationships, in a marriage, in 2 people, man, women, women, whatever relationship, but there's no gender here.
No, just talking about gender, I'm probably going to say he or she, or it can be anything. It can be she, he, she, he. It can be all sorts. But what we get to see is not so much about the attachment, what Vassia is explaining here, but what you get to see is you can see, for example, a pursuer and a withdrawer. So you can have 2 withdrawers where it can be very quiet and very peaceful, well, apparently being very peaceful, but there's a lot of tension. When there's such situation escalates and you are with both withdrawers, then it becomes really tense, maybe passive aggressive, where you can't share what's really going on inside of you. When you have the pursuer, 2 pursuers, it's going to be very explosive, where it's going to be not violent, but very loud, let's say. Mm-hmm. And we have the withdrawer and the pursuer. But the thing is, for all 3 types of relationships, the intention of the partner is to keep the relationship safe. So whether you are both pursuing, whether you are both withdrawing, whether you have 1 pursuer, 1 withdrawer, it's a mechanism that you have developed in order to keep the relationship safe. So when you see a pursuer and a withdrawer, once a situation escalates, the withdrawer would retreat himself or herself, because the withdrawer wants to make sure that the relationship is safe and doesn't know how to make the situation safe than any other way than just to withdraw himself or herself.
Yeah. Let's make it clear. The withdrawer is what we said before, the avoidant. The one that doesn't share their feelings and they keep them inside. And therefore, they don't feel very comfortable with sharing their emotions. They haven't done it before. It's like a skill. They haven't practiced that skill.
And it's not so much that they don't want to, but it's very much because they don't know how to. So that is, it's a significant difference.
And that's why they feel that they're protecting the relationship.
Exactly.
Because they think that if I say something and it's wrong, because I know I'm not good with words, I'm not good with emotions, and it's wrong, I'm going to hurt the relationship. So in their mind, they think, well, it's better if I don't say anything. It's better for the relationship. It's better if I don't say anything.
Yeah, because they want to make sure that the relationship is safe. Yeah. But when you have, when you are anxiously attached, quite often you are a pursuer. And whatever happens when you see your partner withdraw, when you see your partner retreat, it comes across as very scary, because you feel like your partner is going to abandon you, or your partner is you don't feel important anymore, or you feel like you're going to be left all by yourself, which is very scary. It can be very overwhelming to have this feeling. So what happens with the pursuer is pursues and pokes and chases the withdrawer in order to get a response. But also in case of the pursuer, it's all about keeping the relationship safe, because you feel like the relationship is slipping through your fingers, and the only thing you want to do is to hold on to it, but you also don't know how. But whenever the pursuer pursues, the withdrawer most likely will withdraw even further. Yeah. So instead of coming closer and reach out to each other, you see that the gap will be even bigger, and it will be even harder to reach out to each other again. And you see with couples quite often when they have developed this pattern, that this pattern can last for years. And it's very difficult to break the cycle or to break the pattern, because what they see is they judge each other on each other's behavior and not so much about the attachment styles that is underneath it.
No.
Like you just explained.
Yeah, because they don't know the attachment style and they keep misunderstanding each other.
Exactly.
Because for the pursuer, from what you said, is that the pursuer believes that any response is better than no response. So that's why they are fighting, accusing, maybe telling lies, or maybe fighting, because at least I'm going to have you in the relationship. Even if you fight with me, at least I'm going to have you in.
Even if if the response is very negative, like in a fight, but it's still a response. So you feel like there's connection, but it's a very negative side.
Yeah.
A very negative connection.
It is. So for the pursuer is any response is better than no response. And for the withdrawer is no response is better than any response.
Yeah.
They both protect the relationship, but from a different perspective, but they don't know that. That's the misunderstanding. The pursuer feels that the withdrawer is a robot. Do you ever feel anything about me? Do you ever show anything to me? Do you care about me? So they feel a completely different thing. They think that they are like, don't care about the relationship. Well, actually, if you ask a withdrawer, they would say, I care. That's why I don't talk so much. That's why I don't share so much.
Yeah. And quite often you see the argument can go about very basic things like, I don't know, clearing the dishwasher or anything. But it's so much, there's so much beyond just the behavioral side of it, and then you go back to the attachment styles where you see what is actually needed and that is more of not meeting each other's needs rather than anything else.
Yeah, it's never about the dishes.
It's never about the garbage washer or trucks
or the garbage. Yeah. Or who's gonna pick the kids or whatever. No.
Yeah.
Even if we're saying, are you ever gonna wash the dishes? What we actually want to say is, are you ever gonna say that you care about me? Do you still care about me?
Do I matter?
We don't say that.
Yeah. Do I matter to you? Am I important enough? Do you got my back when I need you? Are you there for me? So there are all these questions when the partner doesn't meet these needs, but the discussion is on a completely different level.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's why we want to bring the discussion in the right level, because otherwise this conversation can last for hours.
I know.
And then, and especially as you said, if you have the pursuer, then they can fight for hours, and then next day they're going to be, I don't have any idea what we were talking about. What was it about? They don't remember. It's just like the court.
And get stuck also in some sort of discussion because they stay at that level.
Yes. I'm going to share with you who are listening or watching us an article about the pursuer and the withdrawer so that you can find more information about that. And I'm going to add it in the comments, and also Maria will also add it in the Zoom. So I also have an image that I would like to share. And it actually shows what we were talking about. Have you seen that, Lilian?
Yeah.
So this is exactly what's happening when two people are fighting. The woman is about to be beaten by a snake, or she has already been beaten by a snake. And the man has a huge rock on his back. They are trying to save each other, but in their heads, they're actually accusing each other. So the woman is saying, oh, come on, can't he pull stronger? Because look what happens to me here. I'm about to be bitten by a snake. And the man is also saying, oh, can't she push more? I'm having a huge rock on my back. So each one is seeing their own pain, but they don't see each other's pain. They don't see the other person's pain. And that's exactly what's happening when two people are fighting, when they're arguing, when they're disconnected. They don't see the other person's pain. They're just focused on their own pain.
Yeah, and there's like when you have this rock on you, you feel like you can't go anywhere. And the woman that is hanging there is also feels like, you know, it's close to the end, but doesn't know how to save the relationship.
Yeah, indeed. Let me take a look to see whether there are any questions. In regards to attachment style, Natalia says, can siblings that grew up together develop very different attachment styles, and why? Would you like to share your view, Lilian? And I can also say.
Yeah, I think it's possible, because I think depending also, you know, as a first child will be probably very different from a second or a third child, where you feel maybe that that, you know, I'm just giving an example, not that it's supposed to be this way exactly, but I can imagine that because parents are getting with a second or a third child probably got easier in dealing with them or handling them, that it can be different. That's what I think.
Yeah, and even though they live together, the relationship that they have with their parents, mother or father, it's a completely unique relationship.
Yeah.
Their mother is not the same person for those of them, and they don't have the same needs. So depending on how the mother meets their needs, that's how they create the attachment style.
Yeah.
So it can be completely different. It can be the same attachment style, but it's something very unique.
And also because of the needs of a child, I think, like as an individual, one needs different things than the other.
And the dynamics always change when there's a second child coming or a third child coming. The dynamics in the family, of course. There's a question about intercultural relationships. Some women report their husbands from another culture. Their husband from another culture make women feeling more connected to their life partners while they both live abroad than when they move to the country of their husbands. Okay. All right. So Marina says that when they live abroad, they feel more connected than when they move to the country of the husbands. So this is when they lose some of the connection.
Okay. Maybe then because you're more attached in a foreign country, because there's nothing familiar around you, that you feel like you're more connected, because you need to build on each other. You need to trust each other, because there's nothing familiar around you. And when you move to the country of your spouse or your partner, it's more familiar for one partner, which makes it maybe a little bit more insecure for the other. Yeah. But having said that, I think even with marriages or couples from different cultural backgrounds, I think it's still possible to find the connection, because I don't think that having the emotional connection is bound to a culture. I think humans in general need the connection. So it doesn't matter where you're from or what your cultural background is. I still feel like the connection is for everybody.
Yeah. And maybe what it feels like a connection when the couple lives abroad is more like a dependency pattern, because we don't have anybody else. We only have each other.
Yeah.
So now we are more connected. We're like that. I need you, you need me.
Yeah.
So what feels like a connection, maybe it's a dependency or a codependency. But then when there's no threat, where there's no, we're not out of our comfort zone anymore, and we go back to one's family or home country, then we don't need to be together, because we have other people, we have other support network, and then that felt like a connection becomes more loose.
Yeah, it's not so necessary anymore.
Yeah. I don't need you
Yeah,
anymore. But the
yeah,
connection is not about needing, it's about wanting. I
yeah,
want to be with you.
yeah,
You make me feel in a unique way. I want to be with you. It's not I need you around me because otherwise I'm not going to survive. That's usually what happens when we are abroad and we feel that this is a connection. But then eventually, when we move to the other country, I think it's possible that gaps or misconnections or disconnections with the partner will come to the surface. What seemed to be like a good relationship, but it was a relationship out of necessity, will come in the surface, and then you will see what are the spots, the points of this relationship that we need to work on.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Good point.
Yeah. Um, could it also be a matter of expectations? You may expect more from your partner when you live together. Yeah, it's again, I think, about loneliness. I feel lonely, and of course all the expectations are put on my partner's shoulders. Now you need to fulfill all the roles: my friends, my family roles, and my partner. You are everything now. So of course you expect more from your partner when you live abroad, and of course that's not so fair, for the partner. It's heavy to be or to be expected to fulfill all these roles.
Yeah, but once the connection is there, it doesn't matter how many roles you have to fulfill because you will still be able, you will still feel the security that you need in order to, yeah, to be together.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
think
exactly.
it's all about the connection, also in, you know, expectations. But I think when you say expectations, it also says something about your attachment style. Because maybe when your
Mm,
expectations are very high, you know, it's maybe it's yeah, you need you've got certain needs
yeah.
that you need to be met.
Yes, good point. Good point. So the expectation actually is more connected with your fears that
Mm.
you have from your attachment style, that maybe you're going to leave me, or maybe something will happen in the relationship, or we need to somehow survive this relationship. So you're more into you're going more into your attachment style, right?
Yeah, because that inflicts the insecurity.
Yeah.
When your expectations are really high and you feel like your partner can't meet your expectations, it's also because you need something which probably comes out in a different way than you are intent than you intend to do. So it's yeah. I think it also has to do with a little bit of more having your needs met.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes we confuse the needs, because as we said before, this is an emotional connection, and we feel that needs, we have a different idea about what needs are, and we think that I need you to do more of the house chores. That's a need, but that's not a need.
No,
We're
but I'm
talking.
more talking in terms of I need you to be there for me. I need to be
Yeah.
able to count on you. I need to be
Yes,
able to support me no matter what. You know, those kind of needs,
yes,
rather than
exactly.
chores in the house or
Yeah,
whatever. But more on an emotional level needs.
yeah. Yeah, and then when we are functioning on one of the insecure attachment styles, then it's also possible that maybe our partner is indeed meeting the needs, but we still cannot see that.
Yeah, yeah, because you perceive it from a different point of view.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because that's also a tricky one, because as an individual you perceive certain things and the other might perceive it from a completely different perspective.
yeah. It's
So
like
yeah.
it's like waiting for the other shoe to fall. That's the
Mm.
perspective. I'm waiting until I confirm that you don't care about me,
Yeah, because
even though.
because even though for one partner it can be quite obvious that the
Yeah,
other one is supposed to do this or supposed to do that, but in the same time it's from this person itself,
yeah,
and the other one probably is completely doesn't have any clue what is actually asked
yeah,
of the other person.
exactly. Yeah, because then the attachment style talks. It's not a healthy. mind, the healthy mindset that talks, but it's the attachment style that talks.
Yeah.
The insecure attachment style.
Insecurity, yeah. Yeah.
So we go to the third part, which is how can we bring more connection? Because we said all these things about the disconnection and understanding the attachment style and the pursuer and the withdrawer. Shall we go to, how can we bring more connection to a relationship then?
Yeah. So let's just continue with the I need. When you talk about I need, it can be anything, right? Like if it's a house chore or something on an emotional level, but let's just see it from a pursuer's point of view or from the withdrawer's point of view. Yeah. Because the withdrawer probably needs space. So when there is an escalation, when there is an issue, the withdrawer needs space. So in order to tell, for example, the partner, the pursuer, or the other withdrawer, to express, I need my space for now, but I'm still going to be there for you. It's not that this is the end of the relationship, but I'm going to be there. I only need my own time and space in order to figure out what I'm thinking or in order to figure out what I'm feeling.
Yeah. Which is something that the withdrawer doesn't do. Usually a withdrawer, they're like, I'm done. That's enough. Yeah. I don't want to talk about. And it feels exactly, as he said, as an abandonment, as leaving, as rejection.
Yeah.
Yes, for the pursuer. Yeah. But then saying it in the way that you just said, like, I need a break, but I promise I will be back and we will continue and we will talk about that because it's important. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, because then the pursuer also understands it doesn't mean that this is the end of our relationship. Yeah. It means that the withdrawer needs time, but I don't have to fear that this will be the end of it. So for the pursuer, it's much more, it's easier to understand and it's less fearful because it's just a matter of time before the withdrawer comes back.
Yes. Yes.
And in terms of needs for the pursuer, it's the pursuer can also say, I feel abandoned and I need to know that you are there. I need to know that this is not the end of our relationship. So if the withdrawer can give that reassurance to the pursuer, it makes it also for the pursuer much more easier to handle when an escalation occurs.
Indeed, it's just giving these tiny confirmations to your partner, even in the worst moments, even when you want to be alone and you don't want to talk about feelings and about needs. You don't abandon, you don't leave the other person there in their dark place, hanging and waiting. It's like an example that I remember, like it was a couple of years ago, there was a couple and he said, and the man said to me that I want to go home after work and just relax in front of my TV. But then she wants to talk about all these things that she has been doing at work with the kids and all this stuff. But I want my space. I want, my head space for a while. So I just go in front of my TV and then she complains. And what I actually explained to him is like, keep watching your TV. You don't need to change that. No problem. But just explain here for 5 seconds that I just need to calm my brain down, to have some, zone out time. And I will be back and we will talk about everything. I promise to you. 5 seconds.
That makes a huge difference. Yes, it makes a huge difference. So you won't get stuck in the pattern.
Yeah,
because this is about connection. Yeah. And this is what
you don't need to. Sorry, we're talking at the same time. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
We don't need to change what we're doing. We don't need to completely give in to the other person's needs or lifestyle or whatever they need. We just need to continue doing what we're doing, but just giving this confirmation and connecting even for 5 seconds. That's already something.
And it makes a huge difference.
Yes, makes a huge difference. Makes a huge difference. Yes. So you said about explaining, giving this confirmation from the pursuer to the withdrawer, from the withdrawer to the pursuer, right?
Yeah.
And when a pursuer feels like, I want an answer now. I want you to tell me, because they can be very demanding.
Yeah, but to understand also from where that is coming from.
Yeah.
This is not coming from the fact that you want to harm the other. It's not because you want to hurt the other or you want to annoy the other, but it's more out of this fear of this relationship is not going to survive, or I'm going to be left all by myself. And the stronger that feeling is of being left all by yourself, that makes the pursuer make even more pursue, even more or more stronger in order to get a response.
So does it help if the pursuer also starts thinking that there's no threat? They start feeling that I don't need to pursue right now. I can put the request out there and I can say, well, I need to talk to you about something, but I don't need to ask now. I don't need to claim everything now. Because if my partner is here, he's going to be also here today, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. It's like a confirmation that it's not going to be.
Yeah, because that's what the pursuer needs. And if you say, give me just a few minutes or even longer, a few hours, just to relax or to do whatever the withdrawer needs, so the pursuer understands. So the pursuer also understands that there will be a different time where the withdrawer will connect.
Yeah. Will it help if they start understanding each other? Like sit down and talk about, look what happened to me when we are fighting. And let me tell you what I feel when we're fighting. Just to talk, just to listen, no, without doubting, without debating. But why do you feel like that? But you shouldn't feel. No. Just listen what the other person is feeling or thinking at that moment without judgment, without questioning,
without assuming,
just
assuming,
listen.
Because quite often when you're assuming what the other might think because of the tone of voice or because of the facial expression, a lot of assuming, but assuming doesn't help because you're filling it already in for the others. So like you said, it's a good thing to have a conversation, but to be honest to yourself and to the other as well, to talk about from your point of view, like what is it that you feel, or what I need, or what I find important, rather than say, you don't want to listen to me because you watch television, or you don't show that you really are interested in me, because that way you get stuck in a negative pattern. But just to not to assume and to listen to each other in a very respectful, but also in a way that the other one feels that you matter.
Yeah. So find a moment where you're not fighting, but you're calm, and talk about what happens to each one of you when you are fighting. Like try to get into each other's shoes. And as you said, talk with I feel at that moment, and I need at that moment. And when we say need, we mean emotional needs. And talk with your I and not with the you. And when I say I feel, I'm not going to say I feel you're stupid. No, I feel goes to a feeling. I feel that I am important, or that I am not important the moment that you just set me off. This is what I feel. Maybe it's not what's happening, but this is what I feel. So make it very personal without any judgment to the other person. Is that something that a couple can try and do?
Oh yeah, definitely. Okay. As long as they feel comfortable, and as long as the space between the couple is safe enough.
Yeah. And we can make it safe. I mean, we can start with a conversation like that, or maybe we can start with even, because that can be a conversation specifically about the relationship, or we can start with conversations which are neutral. Just practice our conversation skills, our listening skills, that I'm not going to interrupt you, I'm not going to overlap, I'm not going to judge you. Or practice the validation that we said before. When you say, I had a fight with my boss, I don't want you to go and say, well, why didn't you submit your report then earlier? I don't want you to say that. I just want you to practice the validation. Oh, you're angry with your boss, and it's getting like more often these fights. So I want you to be there with me So let's find a topic which is neutral, not me and you, but me and somebody else, or me or something else, or two other people, and practice sitting at the table and discussing how we listen, how we empathize, how we validate.
Yeah, but ask questions. You show interest when you ask questions. It's very important to ask questions.
Yeah. It's a set of skills that we are practicing now. It's not like either you have the perfect relationship or you don't. We make the relationship how we want. And it's going to take maybe months, maybe years. I don't know. But it depends how hard we try. It depends how committed we are. But it is possible to change, I feel.
Definitely, it is possible. And you can overcome these negative patterns. It's really possible.
Yeah. I say very often that love is a decision. Yes, it is a feeling, but at the same time, it's a decision, which means that every morning when I wake up, I think, what can I do so that I can show to my partner that I am connected, that I remember what they need, that I care about them every day? But that's a decision. I'm making this decision every day to show, and I'm not talking about buying presents or romantic dinners. I'm talking about being there, as you said.
Yeah.
When they come with me with a problem, I'm there to listen. I'm there to comfort. I'm there to understand, even though I disagree. Maybe I have a different opinion, but I'm there to understand them. That's what we mean.
And it's also okay to have a different opinion. You don't have to agree on everything. You can be your own person and still feel connected.
Of course. But we're not together because we have different opinions. We have the same opinions. We're together because we want to connect.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let me see if there's another question. So we also said create time to connect and talk about neutral conversations and make that time.
Yeah,
like if you wait for this time to happen or to come in your life, it's not going to happen. You make it, you arrange it. And in the beginning, it sounds, again, robotic. What? It's Saturday and we need to have the usual conversation. Why? Yes, it's robotic, but at the same time, it will become a habit that both partners enjoy in the end.
And it doesn't have to be very emotional talk.
No.
It's not about showing your feelings or everything, but it's just about connecting.
Yeah, exactly. We were talking the other day about this exercise where you take a bowl and you fill it with questions. You write papers and you write the questions in small pieces of paper, and then you roll them and you put them in the bowl, and then you have a bowl full with questions. If you are run out of questions or topics to discuss, then you can pick some from this bowl. And when you want to create some connection with your partner, this is what you do. And this is when you, after dinner, you spend 5 minutes to talk about something, either that you have this topic already in your mind or you just pick it from the bowl.
Yeah, you even have the tea where you have these little labels with topics to discuss.
Yeah,
so of help out there if you want to can't find a topic to talk about.
Let me see if there are questions. Somebody said from YouTube, Lilian is describing the perfect relationship. Yeah, it sounds perfect, but also we don't want to make an idea of this relationship which is not achievable. This relationship is something that we all work. Even me and Lilian were working also on our relationships every day. We don't have the perfect, there's no such thing as a perfect relationship. And some of these tips, some days are working and some days they're not, but we're still here and we continue trying. That's what makes the relationship secure and healthy. Not the fact that we stop fighting, but the fact that even though we fight in a different way, in a way that we connect instead of disconnect and fall apart.
Yeah, because I sometimes see people and they say, we fight. And I said, it's okay to fight. It doesn't matter when you fight, but as long as you feel that there's the connection, you can overcome this fight.
Yes.
And it's okay.
And that's not a relationship that you just find. It's more important what I believe, it's a relationship that you create.
Yeah.
Because both people are coming with their own attachment styles. So maybe the honeymoon period is fantastic, but at some point we're going to clash. And we are going to have a lot of conflict because our attachment style is triggering each other. So at that moment, from that moment onwards, we start to create the relationship. We don't find it. It's not something out there that you go and shop and you say, just give me the perfect relationship. No, it's something that you make. And that's why we say that there's a lot of work, and that's why it would have been very useful to learn all these things from school. Let me see. Zoom questions. Why do we sometimes reflect a different attachment style with our friends compared to our partners? Nice one.
Different.
Why do we sometimes reflect a different attachment style with our friends compared to our partners?
I think when it comes to partners, it can be more threatening.
Yeah.
So it's safer to discuss these things with your friends because it doesn't matter so much. As for with your partner, there's a lot at stake.
Yes. It would have been nice if we had the same attachment style that we have with our friends and also with our partners. We are also not so much defensive with our friends. We're more forgiving with our friends, but we're not with our partner because we feel that there's a lot, as we said, there's a lot of things at stake here. If I allow this, then this will haunt me. This will come back later. This means I am defeated. This means that I'm not in control. This means I lose power. So we have all these assumptions that we need to keep, control of the relationship, and we need to be on top of it all the time. And this is something we don't do with friends. With friends, we're like, yeah, sure, no, don't worry about that. It's okay. But with our partner, no, this is not allowed. We're very strict, eh?
Yeah, it doesn't matter so much.
Yeah. Let me see. More questions. How can you have a healthy conversation about sexual life? It seems to be hard to find the right words or right moment to speak about it and not offend the other person. I think that starting with exactly that, I'm afraid that I'm going to say something and I'm going to offend you. That would be the perfect opening. And I don't want to offend you. I definitely don't want to offend you. And maybe you will say something and you will offend me. And as scary that conversation is, that we're going to offend each other, I also feel that we need to have that conversation so that we can grow in our sexual life, so that we can grow, we can step out of our comfort zone. Because so far what we have doesn't work. We don't like it. We're not happy with that. And we just need to accept a little bit of pinching, let's say, a little bit of hurt so that we can save ourselves from a bigger hurt later. Just being honest, right? Being vulnerable. I'm sorry before I apologize beforehand. Maybe I'm going to say something that I will offend you. Maybe I'm not going to use the right word. Please be here. Correct me. Tell me if it hurts. Tell me if I should use other words.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, for sure. It's very important to get the message across that you don't want to do this to harm the other person.
Yeah, exactly. To open up your cards, like, I don't want to hurt you here. If I do it, I will do it unintentionally. And please stop me. Please correct me. Please tell me how you want me to say that, because I don't have the right words. I'm sorry. I'm going to say that and I'm going to try to say it in the right words, but maybe it's not going to work. But we need to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Because I value this relationship and I want to protect it. And the only thing, or one important thing that we need to talk is about our sexual life.
Yeah.
And I believe, Giovanna said, I'm curious what you think about how to give difficult feedback to each other without becoming judgmental or critical of the other. I believe that what I said
That's just the
answers.
same
Yeah,
answer.
yeah, yeah.
The kind of
I mean,
approach.
of course, we need to think beforehand, how to say that without judging the other person, but at the same time, be open and honest. If I say something that doesn't sit well with you, stop me and please tell me, can you please rephrase that? Can you please say that don't say that. I don't like that. I'm open to hear your feedback because I admit I'm not good at words as well. Solomia says, what about the third non-healthy attachment style, which is what we said, the fearful avoidant? How to deal with those changing needs? The key here is, again, awareness. We need to become aware of the style, and especially the person that has this style, they need to become aware of the behaviors, the thoughts, the feelings that they have, so that they can start changing towards a secure attachment style. And maybe there's a trauma involved. Maybe there's a traumatic emotional experience that it needs to change. So let's stay there and let's try to work it, and let's see what we can do together, or each one individually. Maybe they're doing their therapy individually and in order to deal with past traumas, and then they come in the relationship and they work with the relationship part. But definitely that's something that we can also work. We're running out of time, and it's already 9:05, and we said that we're going to keep it until 9. Let me see. Last question. How to feel if emotional connection goes into being too safe around each other? Like being each other's psychologist. Oh, okay.
I don't understand.
How to feel. It's not very clear what it means, how to feel. How to feel if emotional connection goes into being too safe around each other.
Like being just
let me see, because they also say being vulnerable is important as well. I heard you saying being vulnerable is really important, as well as being safe and validated. And I heard Perel say a few times that you shouldn't be too safe around each other. Emotional intimacy kills erotic expression. Do you agree with that? And how to protect the proper boundary, how to draw a line, not being each other's psychologist. Okay. All right. Yeah. I think what it means here is not fall into the pattern of codependency and being each other crutches. I think what it means here is make sure that while you are watering the plant of your relationship, you're also fostering your individuality. You are also a complete person. And being a complete person means that you also have your personal space, your own life, your own friends. So that's something that for a person with an insecure attachment style may feel threatening, but with a safe attachment style, it will feel like safe to do. And it will also bring a sense of adventure, that I'm not taking you for granted and you're not taking me for granted as well. We also have friends, we also have personal life. So I think if this is what you mean by drawing a line, for me, drawing a line means that make sure that you don't lose yourself in a relationship, that you're not sharing everything and you're becoming exactly as Jiska said, each other's psychologist. Do you have an idea, something different to say, Lilian, about that?
No, I think you're right what you said.
Yeah, how to find a balance in the secure style.
Yeah, but also about emotional intimacy kills erotic expression.
And also, I would think that maybe too safe can be another way to be intellectually avoidant. Because in a secure style, still you have fights, still you have disagreements. But what Yiska described is more like we talk about everything and we resolve everything and we never fight, or we are very safe with each other. So I would put a question mark there. Have we already jumped maybe to an intellectual avoidance, that we intellectualize all the feelings and we make them feel like problems, like algebra, and then we just solve it and then we're done in a discussion? How much of feeling do we allow? Passion, jealousy even, to be there, what we call as negative emotions in the relationship, because that's also necessary and it also fits in a healthy relationship. So that's my 2 cents about that. Thank you very much for being here today. We can talk about relationships for hours, and especially me, it's my favorite topic, and also Lilian's, of course. But this discussion will be available forever, thanks to Mark Zuckerberg, in Facebook, but also in YouTube and LinkedIn, so that you can watch it every time you want to see and remember what we said, or you can share it with your friends and network or partner. But explain, don't just send the link. Just explain what you mean. We will share the resources with you, the article that I shared with you, and also books that we suggest or videos that we suggest related to relationship, and podcasts, because we hear also listen a lot of podcasts. If we don't have your email, please send your email to us. And when I say if we don't have your email, I mean that we already have the emails of the people that they register via Zoom. If you're watching via Facebook or Instagram, then we don't have your email. You need to send it to me. What else? We will continue with our live interviews, and the next one will be more about body and mind balance. And it will be in a month from now. Also, since Lilian is the relationship counselor of our company, of Anti-Loneliness, she is starting on the 17th of May a divorce support group, which is the other side of what we're talking today. So we're talking about the points where we are not together anymore, and we are dealing with the emotional roller coaster of divorce. And that's something that will start happening. We have been doing divorce support groups actually for 5 years already, but there's a new group starting in the 17th of May. So if you want, just send me an email and I will tell you more about it. And of course, all the workshops that we organize via the Anti-Loneliness Academy, next one coming, self-sabotage, detox your relationships, etc. And if you are a professional of mental health, you can also find workshops there. 11 minutes after 9. Thank you very much, Lilian, for being here today.
Thank you, everyone, for watching.
As always, I enjoy the conversation with you. And I hope people that watched us, they also enjoyed it. Thank you very much for being here. And you spent your evening with us. Thank you, everybody, from all the platforms. That you shared your questions, your thoughts, or your comments. I will also keep the questions and the comments from Zoom and from the other platforms. And I will promise that I will come back to your questions in another way, maybe via an email, or maybe I will make an article or a video on YouTube. But I promise that I will get back to your answers. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening. Take good care. Connect with your partner. Find ways, be creative, and let's spread connection. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.